So welcome, Patrick. Thanks again for your time to have also your perspective on the EUDR, the European Deforestation Regulation. And before we start, I will give you the chance to introduce yourself, your position at ISEAL, and maybe also to give an introduction to the ISEAL community.
Sure. Yeah, thanks. I'm great to be here. So I am the Innovations Director at ISEAL. I've been with ISEAL since it was founded, and over that time have really overseen a lot of our technical programs, which support some of the leading sustainability standards and certification programs worldwide to essentially improve their effectiveness. And in the innovations role, a large part of my work is looking at how sustainability systems need to adapt and evolve to meet the changing expectations of companies and governments. So something like the EUDR is really high on our list and on that of our members as they look to respond to the expectations set by the European Union.
Okay, great. Thank you. Can you give us a short, maybe intro? Who are your members?
Sure. Yeah. So it's organizations that most people have heard of. If you buy products in a supermarket, you'll likely have seen everything from Fairtrade to Marine Stewardship Council, Forest Stewardship Council in the forest sector. We have about 45 sustainability systems as members, each one of them a global program in its own right. They cover sectors beyond agriculture and forestry to mining, metals and minerals, to water, biodiversity. So really covering a lot of sectors and issues that people care about and interact with on a day-to-day basis. And what ISEAL tries to do is support those programs to improve the impacts that they're having, the effectiveness on the ground through working on better standards, better certification, and looking at how they can enable both consumers to make informed choices, but also to support producers and enterprises to improve their practices on the ground and create incentives for them to do so.
Yeah, sounds really interesting and also important. And sounds like almost everybody is part of the ISEAL community. A lot of well-known names and standards. Yeah. What do you think that have these sustainability standards, or which role does these sustainability standards play in regards to the challenges and requirements for the EUDR?
Yeah, I mean, on the good side, certification systems essentially do much the same thing as is anticipated by EUDR, which is to provide a system that enables businesses to convey information about production practices to consumers. And so many of the standards are already highly aligned with EUDR requirements, most notably around supply chain traceability. So how do we understand whether our products are coming from deforestation or conversion landscapes? And so many of the standards that work within deforestation risk commodities do already have, or all of them have, deforestation conversion-free requirements as of specific cutoff dates. They also all reference legality, which is a small but important part, recognizing that production needs to meet other legal requirements. And both of those are really the foundation of EUDR. So having that as a starting point, I think puts many of the standards in good stead at that base level. These are supply chain tools that enable communication of information through the supply chain, through traceability systems from the production to the end consumer. And so with a little bit of tweaking, I think are really well placed to be effective tools for companies to use to support that compliance journey.
This is really good to hear, to be honest, that the standards are well prepared for the EUDR. And also we hear in a lot of discussions with affected companies that they are looking for guidance from their certification provider, from the standards. Do they will implement deforestation monitoring? Do they cover all the requirements or just a bunch of the requirements from the EUDR? So they really are looking for the guidance of the certification provider and standard, and it's really good to hear that they are well prepared and that the information is, in the majority of the cases, already available in these databases from your members.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's the tricky part comes in the detail, of course, and we can dive into some of those pieces. I do think that it's important for companies to recognize that certification is not going to be the equivalent of doing their own due diligence. Companies ultimately are responsible for their own due diligence, and certification can serve as a tool to support them in that journey. It is important for companies to understand where their products are coming from and the risks inherent in that. And regardless of EUDR, I think that whole understanding the risk portfolio of your supply base is becoming increasingly important for all companies. The fact that sustainability standards and certification can provide a lot of that information is a good base on which companies can build.